So fear is a blessing blocker, and that Satan will use to try and rob us of our blessings. So today's the message is blessing blocker, fear. Okay, and what is fear? Fear is to expect something bad or unpleasant to happen in our lives. Fear is to be afraid, to be scared of someone or something. All right. To be afraid is also to filled with concern or regret over an unwanted situation. So now, as we just said, the resurrection, what are we talking about? Jesus. Who's our number one example? Jesus. Okay, so now we're going to look at Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. All right, so now this is right before he was going to be taken to be whipped and abused, where we applied the communion elements. But he was so concerned with what he was going to have to face that fear came, and he asked God, God, if it's possible, let this cup pass away from me. All right, so now would God have, but then he corrected himself and he said, nevertheless, that your will be done in my life. But he could have said, I don't want to go through with this, because he was facing the beating. He was facing, how many of us are facing situations in our lives, right? Confrontation that we know we have to have, right? No, another day. But with God, he expects us to hit whatever we're afraid of head on, and he doesn't want his children to be in fear. So now the devil will use fear to block blessings from coming into our lives. Amen? So let's look at the story. Matthew 26, verse 36, and I'm going to read it. And it'll begin. Then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane. All right, that's a garden, a place in Israel. And said to the disciples, sit here while I go and pray over there. That's a sound effect. See, I woke us up. It woke me up also, because I wasn't expecting that. Verse 37. Go. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and he began to be sorrowful and deeply in distress. Okay, so sorrowful. There he began to worry, be in fear of what was coming next. Okay, so some of us, a new job, we're comfortable in our position. Now we're starting, we don't know the people, we don't know the system, and fear and apprehension comes, and we might allow that fear to take us to go over to the other side to receive the blessings. A new relationship. We're more comfortable with the old. We're fearful of what God has in store for us next. So here, he began to be sorrowful and deeply distressed about what he had to face, which was the scourging, the beating that he was about to take, and the crucifixion. Verse 38. Then he said to them, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch with me. So now, some of us, when we're going through things, we want other people to watch with us, or to pray with us, right? But at the end, even the disciples, they left Jesus. Are people going to always be there for us? No. Okay, that's why we need to develop our relationship with God, because God will never abandon us, but people, unfortunately, will. All right, verse 39. He went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, oh, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. So there he's saying, I don't want to do this. All right, like some of us, we're facing situations, we don't want to do it. All right, but then what he said, he corrected, nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. Because if it would have been his will, he would have said, I'm not here. I'm not going through that. All right? Verse 40. Ready? Ready? Then he came to the disciples and found them sleeping, and said to Peter, Satan, I bind you, Satan. He's trying to interrupt this message. Let me go a second. We've been here for years. Never happened. Never. Okay, you know it? So, no problem. All right. So then he came to the disciples and found them sleeping, and said to Peter, why? Did you not? Just shut it off quickly. I'm just going to bring the Lord. Shut it down. All right, so I'll just speak a little louder. All right. So then he came to the disciples, and he found them sleeping. And he said to Peter, what? Could you not watch with me for 1 hour? All right, now this is main boy Peter, okay? And he couldn't watch, knowing what's going to happen, and he just fell asleep. He said, that's your problem, man. It's not my problem. All right? Verse 41. Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation, because the spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Continue, verse 42. Again, a second time he went away and prayed, saying, O my Father, if this cup cannot pass away from me unless I drink it, your will be done. So he's still trying to speak to the Father and say, I don't want to do this. Second time, all right? Next verse, 43. He came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. All right? Verse 44. So he left them, went away again, and prayed what? The third time, saying the same words. All right? So if you pray sometimes 2, 3 times the same thing, God did not answer those prayers, but again, you know that he was afraid of certain things. It's something we're going to be afraid, but we will have to go through with it. Did Jesus go through with the beating? He did go through it, right? So some of us, we don't want to go through the situations, but we're going to have to go through them, and God will be with us as we go through them. Amen? Amen. Verse 45. Then he came to his disciples and said to them, Are you still sleeping and resting? Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. 46. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand. Now we're going to see that he's captured, verse 47. And everybody that's all speak, let it go. And while he was still speaking, behold, Judas, one of the 12, with a great multitude with swords and clubs, came from the chief priests and elders of the people. Verse 48. No, all right, that's all we've told. Now his betrayer had given them a sign, saying, Whomever I kiss, he is the one, seize him. 49. Immediately he went up to Jesus and said, Greetings, Rabbi, and kissed him. So now, from there you have to be careful, because not everybody who says greetings to you and gives you a kiss is necessarily your friend. Not necessarily wants good things for you. All right? So a kiss and a hug is just not enough. You got to make sure people's actions more than just what they do. Because some people master a greeting, look you in the eye and this, but then they have sinister motives inside of it. Yes or no? Yeah. All right? Verse 50. But Jesus said to them, Friend, why have you come? Then they came and laid hands on Jesus and took him. So they arrested him, all right? Verse 51. And suddenly, one of those who were with Jesus stretched out his hands and drew his sword, struck the servant of the high priest, and cut off his ear. 52. But Jesus said to him, Put your sword in its place, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword. So they're saying, if you live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword. Okay? Verse 53. Or do you think that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he will provide me with more than 12 legions of angels? Here is where the blessing blocker could have come, all right? Because Jesus could have said, Father, I don't want to go through this. Destroy these people, all right? And one angel, okay, we study in the Bible, one angel has the power to kill, it killed 185,000 people in one night. One angel. A legion of angels is 6,000 to 8,000 of whatever it is. So in the Roman army, the legions, okay, that's 6,000 to 8,000. He's saying, do you put that sword away? Don't you think that I cannot call my Father and he'll send me 12 legions of angels if I needed that right now? So he had the power. That's why when we look at the resurrection, which we're going to be studying next week, that he didn't have to go through it. Most people, the Romans used the crucifixion, and they killed a lot of people through crucifixion, but those people didn't have the power to get off of it. He had the power, and he said, no, I'm staying here for all of us, for you and for me. That's why that's the greatness of Jesus, that he took that punishment for us, but make no mistake that he had the power, and he could have done like this and destroyed. If you do the math, it's like 6 billion people that he could have destroyed in one day. Okay, that's more than the population of the world right now, and in those days, you wouldn't even compare